Hey everyone, would you be comfortable with this guy knowing where you live?
My name is Kyle. I'm Antifa, and there's so much rage in me that I've had to record this like 15 times trying to get the message out. They fucked up, okay? Go watch my other videos. Doesn't matter if you're not here and you're not caught up. You missed the fucking fight. But if you are, it's time to suit up. Boots on the ground. Nicollet and fucking 26th. My house is 4 blocks away. Anywhere between Franklin and Nicollet and 26th and Nicollet. Show up, ready to go. Okay, not talking about peaceful protests anymore.
I'm Rich Lowry of National Review, and that was a guy named Kyle Wagner, self-described member of Antifa, just arrested on federal threat and cyber-stalking charges. And I would say Exhibit A on why ICE agents don't want their names and their faces out there because they fear a guy like that might spread their information or actually come and try to do harm to them or their families in their homes. Yet Democrats continue to use the fact that ICE agents are masked as a major part of their indictment of them, and it is a major demand that they are making that ICE agents unmask in order for Democrats to vote for the stalled DHS bill that they're currently holding hostage in Washington, D.C. Here's Chuck Schumer.
Maybe most important, no secret police. These guys go around, these people go around with masks. It makes them more brutal. They're never accountable. No one even knows who they are. There should be no masks except in the most of unusual circumstances. You know, if some guy's picture was put up by a terrorist group or something. But there should be no masks.
So a couple things going on there, right? One of them is that Schumer is slyly changing the definition of secret police. There, he's defining secret police as a police force whose agents conceal their identity. But he wants everyone to think of the traditional definition of secret police, which is a secret police agency that's working for a totalitarian or authoritarian government and undertaking covert operations to suppress dissent and arrest and torture dissidents and all the rest of it. That is not ICE. We all know what ICE is. Its function is written into law. It gets its funding through a democratically elected Congress, and its agents are only concealing their identity in the current circumstance because they are scared of malefactors coming after them and their families.
As protests continue to erupt nationwide, so does ICE monitoring and doxing. ICE List, a website that shares the names of federal agents, confirming this week a whistleblower shared the personal information of over 4,000 ICE and DHS employees. The National News Desk, Jeff Harris, joins us. In the Trump administration, Jeff says this rise is directly linked, they say, to the dangerous rhetoric coming from some lawmakers and politicians. Tell us more.
So in its most recent report, DHS says assaults against ICE officers is up 1,300% and death threats up 8,000%.
Now, anti-ICE people might say, well, look, ICE is going after people showing up at their doors. Why can't we go after them? But that's not how it works. These are totally different categories. Obviously, ICE is a legitimate law enforcement agency that is seeking to detain people who have committed serious crimes or just don't belong here in the United States. They are carrying out the black and white letter of the law. And just because someone signed up to do that job, they're actually doing us a favor by doing that job, gives no one else any right to threaten or intimidate them or make them afraid. And Democrats are just willfully ignorant on this point. Here's Schumer again.
Johnson, the speaker, has said he wants to keep the masks. Well, I guarantee you, when you go down to his district in Louisiana, the sheriffs and police are identified, fully identified with their name and their number. Right. That has to happen across America to prevent these rogue forces from terrorizing cities.
Well, that's all well and good, but no one is out there every day protesting the Shreveport police, trying to impede their operations, comparing them to Gestapo and the Nazis and trying to dox them. And if all that was happening to the Shreveport police, I imagine officers would want to take prudent steps to protect their identity. If we go back to our friend from the beginning of this video, Antifa Kyle, he's not going after the Shreveport police. He is going after ICE. This is from the press release that DOJ sent out upon the occasion of the arrest of Antifa Kyle. Has some juicy quotes in here. This is Antifa Kyle himself in his own words. Quote, "We want to know who they are." He's talking about ICE agents. We will identify every single one of them and we will prosecute them to the fullest extent of the law. If it has to be done at the barrel of a gun, then let us have a little effing fun. Close quote. Press release then goes on to note the complaint further alleges that on January 29, 2026, Wagner used his Instagram account to dox a pro-ICE individual by publishing a phone number, birth month and year, and address in Oak Park, Michigan, threatening the individual. Wagner later admitted that he doxed the victim's parents' house. Pretty nice, huh? I guarantee you no one is talking that way or seeking to go after members of the Shreveport, Louisiana police force in that way, Mr. Schumer. And by the way, when did Democrats become so anti-mask? No one was as fervently pro-mask during the pandemic. Almost no Democrats had any problem with the pro-Hamas protesters on college campuses wearing masks. They don't say anything about the anti-ICE agitators wearing masks when they're protesting against ICE and assailing ICE agents. You know what Republicans should say? They should say we have our own reforms to suggest in this contention over the DHS funding bill. As Dan Cademan of the Center for Immigration Studies has suggested, they should say, you know what? We want to make it a federal felony to dox a federal agent. We want to make it clear in the statute that tracking federal agents constitutes impeding federal agents, and we want to have an enhancement for anyone who assaults or impedes a federal officer while wearing a mask. How do you like that? But what the left has done here is in such bad faith. Here's Joe Scarborough at the end of this clip with Chuck Schumer.
No
Correct.
secret police. I can't even believe we're saying that in America. It's so un-American.
See how this works? There's violence and intimidation directed at ICE, and then ICE agents respond to it by concealing their identity, and they say, wow, look, see how un-American you are? Well, how about all the violence and intimidation that was directed at them in the first place? So look, there are some reforms that are being talked about here that I think make sense. I don't think anyone really opposes body cameras for ICE agents. In fact, the administration is embracing that idea. I don't think there's any problem having the identifying number for an agent clearly visible, not the name, but a number that is an identifying marker. If you want to have a more uniform for all these guys, fine. Not the most important thing in the world, but if you want to spend money on that, fine. But the idea that these men and women in doing this job for us, for the United States government, have to potentially put their families at risk or have their families be worried and afraid is an outrage and a non-starter. It's great that they arrested Antifa Kyle, but there are many, many, many more out there just like him. I'm Rich Lowry, over and out.